What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon. With me, as always, is Caleb. And this week, we will be taking a trip to camp with Ernest. But before we get to all that, Caleb, have you been watching anything interesting lately?
Yeah, I squeezed a movie in, and it was actually a pretty long one, and it was probably not the best idea. So, I finally got around to watching 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, man.
Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think bits and pieces, maybe. That's about it.
Yeah, it is very long. And the reason why I say it was a mistake was because I it was the weekend and I think I was playing games beforehand or something. And I was like, before I go to bed, I'll watch part of a movie and then I'll go to sleep.
Yeah.
Not the best movie for that. It is definitely more of a don't be tired and falling asleep state because it is a very slow movie. The reason why, gosh, was it 2.5 hours, I think?
Probably right around there. I mean, it's Kubrick. You like to make long movies.
Um, 2 hours and 44 minutes. Sorry. Um, Honestly, if they, it would, the movie came out in 1968, and so it was ahead of its time. I understand why it was so popular
Mm-hmm.
and kind of had a niche. It was kind of interesting because I read some stuff up on it, and they said that it really kind of bombed with the general audience at first, but then the hippie um, pot smoker ecstasy crowd
Yeah.
really really latched onto it at the beginning. So
Probably the LSD crowd.
yes, well, they definitely had some elements in there that made it entertaining for them, but it was very slow, and it was a half an hour into the movie before the first person spoke.
Yikes. It's almost like Wally
Right? Yeah. Well,
in comparison.
I'm sure Wally had a lot of inspiration off of this movie, but it was good. It was nice to finally see it. Like I said, probably just not the best circumstances, but if they cut down all the scenic stuff that they did, where they tried to build up stuff and be like, "Ooh, look at all this cool stuff that we can do," you could have probably gotten an hour off that movie.
Have you ever seen The Shining?
Oh yeah,
Yes, yeah, it's another Stanley Kubrick movie. Yeah, he's definitely known for that kind of stuff, especially long movies.
yeah. Didn't he? Because he did Clockwork Orange. Um, didn't he do Full Metal? Yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Seen that one. I feel like I've seen a couple more of his, but maybe not. I'm looking
Yeah,
at
he was
his
kind of
list.
crazy too.
That does not surprise me. He definitely put together some interesting stuff, though. So
He completely tortured Shelley Duvall when they did The Shining.
I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, like massive head games with her.
Gosh, it kind of looks like. Oh man, which beetle is it? He looks like one of the beetles in this picture that they have shown. Anyways, sorry, huge rabbit trail. But yeah, so that's why I saw outside of my normal, some Family Guy episodes, my wife's shows. She's been watching Dharma and Greg. Never seen that show before. It was kind of interesting. And then just tonight we started rewatching Psych for probably about the fifth time. So, but yeah, so just one major film that I watched, but it was definitely a long one. What about you? Did you have anything good this week?
We finally finished watching Friends for like the 10,000th time. I watched Fast and Furious 6 or, Furious 6. I haven't watched any of the other ones yet. It's been kind of a busy week. Man, what else have I watched? We started watching the 15 episodes that they have of Supermarket Sweep on Netflix.
Nice.
They just put 15 new ones up there. Well, not new, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other than that, just some YouTube stuff. Really not much anything of mention other than this one channel. A guy calls himself Wendigoon,
Okay.
and he had like a series of where he covers the conspiracy theory iceberg.
Hmm.
Or I don't know if you've ever seen those images online where people take like a topic and do like an iceberg picture of it, where like the sky above the iceberg is like the stuff that everybody knows, and then like the tip of the iceberg is a little more obscure until it gets like way under the iceberg and it's just like this crazy stuff. He does like a lot of research and everything, and it's pretty interesting because he'll like each video covers like a different layer.
Interesting.
Yeah, he did one with conspiracy theories. He did ones with true crime, like serial killers,
Hmm.
and then he did another one with extreme movies,
Okay.
where a lot of the movies I'd never even heard of, and these are like mostly horror movies. Let's just say, I always say that the most extreme horror movie I ever saw was a Serbian film, and it was like middle of the iceberg.
Oh no. Oh no.
It gets to the end of it, and it's like, yeah, most of these are like snuff films. Some are even illegal to watch. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, and he does a really good job.
Interesting.
But yeah, other than
Actually,
that, that's
well,
pretty
you
much
brought
it.
up YouTube. I totally forgot. I got on a sports frenzy,
Hmm.
and so I actually watched an old Michigan football game on YouTube from 2012, and then I watched Detroit Pistons versus New Jersey Nets 2004 Game 5.
Oh, those were always really good games of those two teams.
Oh yeah. So I think slowly over the summer I'm gonna be rewatching the Pistons championship run, and then I've been talking to my brother-in-law, and we might get together and watch the finals versus the Lakers together.
Rock.
Watch those games. So
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Um, did you hear that Netflix is going to release a documentary about the Malice in the Palace next month?
yes, he told me about that, and he was the first time I heard that, and he we just talked about that this week. So I was surprised that kind of got past me.
Yeah, that should be pretty interesting. Um, Kind of funny fact, my old roommate from college, friend of mine, he was actually supposed to go to that game.
Oh gosh.
And like
Well,
all this happened kind of in a general area where his aunt's season tickets were. There was some reason why he couldn't go. Like no one in his family ended up going to that game,
oh
and
gosh.
like this whole brawl started.
He could have gone and gotten a settlement.
Right? I think he actually did say that too, which is hilarious.
Well, the funny thing where I say I almost could have been there was, and sorry to dive onto sports for a little bit of a rabbit trail, but the Michigan 2011 first game under the lights against Notre Dame
Oh yeah.
with the crazy ending. Yeah, I had the choice of tickets to that game or tickets to Nebraska that season for the first game I'd ever gone to, first Michigan game. And my wife was going with me. And if I was going with anybody else, I probably would have been like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Like I can go there at night. But my wife isn't the biggest fan of crowds. So I was like, well, I don't want to be the first time I'm at the stadium at night, don't know where I'm going. So I was like, I'll do the other one because it's a noon game. And then, of course,
Yeah.
I missed like one of the most epic games.
Yeah, my wife's uncle and her cousin went to that game.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I think we went off on a tangent there long enough. So.
So I digress. But yeah, let's take a trip to camp with Ernest.
Presenting the one, the only, the original, Ernest P. Worrell in his first motion picture. Ernest Goes to Camp, rated PG. Know what I mean? Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check your local newspaper.
So the movie of the week is the 1987 family comedy Ernest Goes to Camp. It is directed by John R. Cherry III. The plot for it is Ernest, a lovable loser who works as a summer camp handyman and dreams of becoming a guidance counselor, must find a way to inspire a group of juvenile delinquents as well as stop a shady strip mining company from closing the camp. The cast for it, we got Jim Varney as Ernest P. Worrell, Victoria Racimo as Nurse St. Cloud, John Vernon as Sherman Crater, Iron Eyes Cody as Old Indian Chief, Lyle Elzado as Bronk Stinson, which is a hilarious name. Gaylord Sartain as Jake, he is the cook. Uh, Daniel Butler as Eddie, Patrick Day as Bobby, Scott Menville as Crutchfield, Danny Capri as Danny, Hakeem Abdul Samad as Mustafa, Todd Lloyd as Osgood, and Eddie Shoemaker as Counselor Stennis.
Dude, the best name, Iron Eyes Cody.
Right? Like you pretty much have to be a badass with a name like Iron Eyes Cody.
Yeah, I want to know more about this guy now.
Well, I got something in trivia and facts about him that's kind of interesting.
All right.
He was in a very iconic TV commercial, and we'll get to that later. I have to ask before we start this, how many times have you seen this movie?
I know for a fact I've seen it once before. I probably want to say in my childhood I saw it 2 times.
I'm gonna say it's probably my second time watching this.
Okay.
I do remember a lot of the scenes from it, but I didn't remember like the movie as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible, I mentioned last week that it seemed like anytime I saw an Ernest movie, it was at my friend Dwayne's house because his mom would always rent these for us.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's probably where I saw it the first time.
Well, before we kind of dive into it, I have to say and kind of apologize. I did not, I know I heard about it, but I did not realize that Jim Varney was dead.
Man, he's been dead for a long time.
I know. Well, no, I mean, like when I saw it, I was just like, oh, yeah, he did die. But I did not make the connection until I saw on his bio the date of his death.
Yeah, didn't he have cancer or something?
I'm not sure. He was only
I
50, so I
think.
would not be surprised.
Yeah, he had lung cancer. I think he was a long time smoker.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the Ernest character, it had kind of like an interesting origin, and how he kind of like came to fame. But I got a little bit more about that too in trivia. But so this movie, it's your stereotypical late 80s, early 90s camp movie
Mm-hmm.
where we get like all these stereotypes. You get like your nerdy kids, you get like your bullies. Um, and Ernest is, he's Ernest in every single movie, same character, obviously. And it's kind of funny how none of them, they're not really like sequels. It's just like, we're going to take this wacky character and just throw him into movies.
Oh, yeah.
Ernest goes to camp, Ernest goes to jail, Ernest scared stupid, Ernest saves Christmas. Might have to go back this Halloween season and watch Ernest Scared Stupid. It's been so many years since I saw that. And I remember watching it a fair amount as a kid.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I'm honestly not sure how many of them I've seen.
Yeah, me either. I know I've saw, well, obviously Ernest Goes to Camp now. I saw Ernest Scared Stupid and Ernest Saves Christmas. But I'm pretty sure I saw Ernest Goes to Jail too, but I can't be 100% on that. But so the movie starts off really strange. We get like a flashback kind of thing with like these Native Americans doing like some kind of trial for uh
Warriors
young
or
warriors
yeah.
where they like throw 3 different objects at a target, and if they don't get hit, then they're like worthy or something like that.
Yeah, the great concept of, you know, somebody who's like a bad shot and being like, well, if they're not lucky enough to hit you, then you're good to go.
Oh man, I think I'd probably want Harry Dunn shooting a gun at me. You're alive. You're a terrible shot. Stormtroopers shooting at him.
Yeah.
Then we get like flash forward to Ernest working on a sign at Camp Kikiki. He's talking, he hopes to be a counselor, that kind of stuff. And typical Ernest physical comedy. He falls off the ladder. And, we get lots of physical comedy here by Jim Varney, which is one of the things that he was really good at.
And it starts the epic golf cart fiasco.
Yeah, the runaway golf cart that never seems to run out of gas.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So, kind of flash forward here, we get kind of like the main group that we're gonna deal with most of the time is we get what they call second chancers, where Ernest has to take the bus and go pick up these kids from a juvenile detention center. And these are supposed to be like your tough kids. And I have to say that none of them look like tough kids.
No, they just look like punks.
Like terrible casting. And I will mention that Crutchfield, I recognize instantly. He's done quite a bit of stuff. Scott Menville is his name. The one thing I really recognized him from was he played Wayne Arnold's best friend in The Wonder Years.
Okay.
He ended up joining the army and going to Vietnam, and he came back and had PTSD. And I remember that being like a really one of those very special episodes, I guess, that they used to have for sitcoms in the 80s and 90s where it was, a serious matter. And I just remember like him in that show. He was a really good actor in that for being, younger. He had kind of recurring roles too in Full House as Kimmy Gibbler's boyfriend. So anytime they needed like a gangly, kind of nerdy, twerpy guy, yeah, he was kind of your go-to. Which is funny to see him in this because he's supposed to be kind of like the bad boy.
Yeah, that was not super successful.
Yeah, you get like the other kids, they have kind of attitudes and stuff, and then you get this little guy, his name's Mustafa. Um,
A
and
cod.
right, Mustafa. He went on to be the producer of all the Halloween movies somehow as a child, and the first one came out before he was born.
All right.
Probably that's my guess. Anyway, he is like it seems to me like he maybe just made a bad choice and got put into this juvenile detention center, but he isn't really like a troubled kid
Yeah.
because he kind of takes a liking to Ernest because Ernest, good-hearted, bumbling kind of idiot, kind of decides he's going to take these kids under his wing and kind of show his worth because the head guy decides that Ernest can counsel these kids because nobody else wants to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And Ernest is just like itching to get a chance to be a counselor. So, while we're going through like the hijinks with them and like those kids clashing with like the two Chads, they're there.
Total Chads.
Yeah. Like, so the ones from the juvenile detention center are supposed to be like the kind of troubled kids, but like these two jabronis are like the bullies
Mm-hmm.
and seem to get away with everything.
Yeah, and they technically cause more problems than the juvenile detention guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, and that and Counselor Stennis, who's a complete jerk.
Mm-hmm.
This movie kind of reminded me of Heavyweights, which I mean,
Yeah.
Heavyweights came out afterwards, and he was kind of the oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name?
Yeah, Stiller, but
Yeah, a little bit, or like Lars.
oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
Lars,
probably
that
one
was
of
his
the
name.
first. Yeah.
Body. Yeah, that's what it really made me think of. There's a scene where the second chancers build a teepee and it's like really awesome, and they're having like a contest, I guess, in a camp, like who can like build the best one, and like the two jerks go and burn it down.
And then the second chancers are the ones who get in trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
There was an ongoing theme throughout this movie where it was definitely a kids movie with absolute ridiculous nonsense in it. not from like what they, not
In an
just from the,
Ernest movie?
not just from the concept of what is um happening, like the dumb things that they do, but from the things that they think that people are not going to realize or pick up on or question, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, talking about goofy stuff, some of the recurring things, like you said, the golf cart that just kind of drives around everywhere by itself. And also the recurring thing of Ernest has to get shots
Yeah.
and he hates shots. Um,
Ew.
ew. And then like some of the stuff he says when he gets a shot, like I don't really expect you to like pick up on this, but I don't know. I'm into like the whole true crime stuff. So there's a part like at the beginning where he gets a shot and she gives it to him and she puts a needle in his arm and he's like confessing to things. He's like, I confess, I took the Lindbergh baby. He's like, I'm Joseph Mengele. Do you know who Joseph Mengele is?
No.
He was a Nazi scientist who was known for performing like these horrific experiments on people in concentration camps,
Okay.
like ridiculous stuff. He was like obsessed with twins, and he would do things like go and cut the arm off one twin and like see if the other one could feel it. Things like that, like just really messed up, jacked up stuff. And like when I heard him say that, I'm like, oh, wait, what? And like I know some of the stuff was like they had a hard time finding Mengele after the Nazi regime fell. It's like I was getting what he was going with that, but like at the same time, that's not really something I'd want in a kids movie.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah. Basically, if you've ever heard rumors of any like Nazi experiments, he was probably the one that was ahead of them.
Dang, yeah, I think I've heard it. I never made the connection with the name, but I have heard some of those stories.
Yeah. So another goofy, like recurring thing is the cooks trying to make
Exeronius.
eggs erroneous. Yeah. I just
And
in my notes I put I hate the cooks, dear Lord. Uh, so I guess a little sidetrack there. The rest of the plot. So we quickly meet this company that's like mining the area around the camp. Um, the head of it is Sherman Crater. He's played by John Vernon, who always seems to play like these jerk characters.
Mhm.
Uh, he was even
Yeah.
like in a few slasher movies back in the day, and always would play like an uptight dean or something like that.
Well, he was in Animal House.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the mayor in Dirty Harry. He big career for him.
I know I
Uh,
saw him something else, but I can't quite place it right now.
yeah, one of those guys, kind of like Michael Ironside, where he's always just a jerk. But yeah, and then he's got like his foreman, who's played by former Oakland Raiders defensive tackle Lyle Alzado. Um, and we get like a fight scene where Ernest is gonna like stand up for these guys trying to buy um the camp so they can mine this element out of there. I think
Yeah, I can't remember what it
some kind of
was.
material. Oh gosh, I don't remember exactly what it was called. Petrocite.
Oh,
Some mineral that they wanna they wanna dig up. Um, and then like basically Arnold or um Ernest gets his butt kicked by Lyle Alzado. And he was actually in a few movies and like TV shows back in the day. He was kind of a character when he was in the NFL. He was completely and utterly nuts. He was definitely like the
I've never
heart
heard
and
of a football player like that before.
he really kind of like was the heart and soul of the Raiders back in the day. He was kind of a dirty player and
No.
he just yeah, he would snap. And probably some of it was like roid rages because he was like just jacked on steroids all the
That doesn't sound like any player from the Raiders.
time. Another guy that was in a slasher movie called, oh man, what was the name of that movie now? Destroyer. And he was the killer in it, but it's that one's kind of interesting. Um, so like of course, Ernest being the bumbling idiot he is, he talks like the old Chief Saint Cloud, and he's only him and his daughter know how to communicate with the chief. And he like somehow talks the chief into signing the deed over to Crater so they can like demolish the camp.
Yeah.
So
I'm
now
pretty sure that
Ernest,
wouldn't hold up.
right?
Like that's one of those things where it's just like as a kid you have no idea.
Yeah, they'd have to have like a notary there or something,
Yeah, there would totally have to be something.
and like a decent translator, not Ernest P. Worrell. Oh gosh. So then Ernest like assembles the whole camp. They're like, we got to fight back, and the delinquents, they're the second chancers. They link up with the two Chads and like make all this weaponry and stuff. And it's your typical kids movie, like, oh, let's slingshot some turtles on
Dude, that's the most
parachutes.
iconic thing from this movie that I remember was the turtles parachuting in.
Yeah, that's like, well, first thing I thought was like, I wonder if PETA loved this. But this might have been pre PETA freaking out about movies. Um, so then, of course, Ernest saves the day, like always. Um, and now,
He saves the day by not getting shot.
yeah, oh yeah, how can I forget that? So like, Crater shows up and he's like, okay, I'm tired of this. He pulls out his gun and he goes to shoot Ernest, and he misses him every single time. And then Ernest plugs Crater's rifle with his finger and laughs in his face. And then Crater's just like, yeah, give up.
I'm gonna run away now.
And then Nurse St. Cloud, she comes back with a restraining order for the demolition. So now, like, the camp is back. All the campers and full staff are back. Um, Crater gets arrested for fraud, and then Ernest is a full-fledged counselor. And the last chance kids, they get to stay at the camp. And
And
it, and it
the last
ends with,
thing. Oh, go
yeah, I
ahead.
was gonna say it ends with Ernest trying to fix the sign, and he falls off the ladder again.
And then the sign falls on top of him, and
Yeah.
nobody cares.
Yep. It's like, oh, he's probably dead. Not Ernest. He can take more falls than Bernie Lomax from Weekend at Bernie's. Oh gosh. So the acting. I'm gonna
Amazing.
say that Jim Varney is good
Yeah.
because he's playing a goofy character that's made to entertain kids. He's
Hmm.
corny and dumb, and he's got like his little catchphrases, like, you know what I mean, and like all the faces and stuff and the noises he makes, and like that's just Ernest. That's one of those things that, yeah, it's stupid, it's childish, but he entertained children and kids loved him back then.
Yeah. I would say probably the three people that like he nails it, and then the two other people that follow the most closely with him are John Vernon. He's just
Yeah.
a hateable guy. And then Iron Eyes Cody,
Hmm.
which I mean, not to play it down, but his part was fairly basic. So, but I think those three were at the top, and then everybody else just like there was a steep decline, kind of.
Yeah, the nurse, she was kind of just okay. And then the rest is really just kids. And I mean, Lyle Elzado doesn't really have very many lines. He's kind of just there as an opposing figure.
Hmm.
So, I guess he did his job. That's what you can say.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but like you said, John Verne is always a good villain. He's not a very big guy, but he's always an opposing figure
Yeah.
because he's just a jerk. And he just has like kind of the evil presence. And it works good in this movie, even though it's a family comedy.
He was a little um it almost went a little bit too far when he pulls out the gun, and I'm just like, okay, I know what's gonna happen, but still, this is a little bit far for a kids movie.
What if he just like blew Ernest away?
Oh my gosh, that would have been the last Ernest movie to be produced.
He just like shoots Ernest in the chest, and Ernest falls to the ground, and Vernon like slowly walks up to him, puts a gun right in Ernest's face. He's like, "I know what you mean," and then boom.
Or if he just took one shot and Ernest's head exploded, like the old cheesy, like can of spaghetti exploding.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we get a classic, like Scanner's head explosion.
Yeah.
Kaboof. Oh gosh, and then he just does like a terrible one-liner and walks off.
It's just been revoked.
Except Ernest's head would just grow back. Then it's back to family comedy. But is there anything like really stuck out to you instead of beside the turtles floating in on parachutes?
um Man, well, just to still touch on that, because like I said, that was the part from when I watched it as a kid that I remember the most, is just the absolute absurdity of that. One, that would work. Two, that the turtles would actually attack when they would land on somebody. And three, that people couldn't get out of the way soon enough. Because if people aren't able, first of all, turtles are slow on the ground, but they were even slower falling from the air.
Right,
So,
they just kind of drift in.
mhm,
And who was opening those parachutes?
magic, the magic of cinema.
Oh gosh, the
Uh,
magic of Ernest
yeah.
breaking the fourth wall.
The other stuff that kind of stood out, I mean, one part that I remembered was the dumb interaction with was it the possum or badger?
This is Badger.
Yeah. When that scene came up, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Because I remember it being really cheesy and dumb because you don't see the animal and he's just like freaking out, kind of like off screen and really, really dorky. And then the kids are like, oh, it's medical training time or CPR or whatever it was.
Yeah, and then like the juvenile delinquent crew, um, they seemed about as tough as the cronies for Mike Barnes and Karate Kid 3. Snake and Dennis.
Yes.
I still can't get over that. They gave the one kid the name Snake, which is cool, and then you have Dennis. But yeah, they're about as intimidating as those guys. Um, like their main dude just kind of is like, I don't know if it's an 80s or 90s kids movie and you want make a guy look tough, put him in a leather jacket. They didn't ever do that with any of them. You got the one kid that was like the Mexican kid. He wore sunglasses.
Yeah, and
Butch
then there was
Farkas.
there was the one who had what the bandana around his arm, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, that was Crutchfield, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, he had like a cut off denim jacket, if I remember right, and like a bandana on his arm. Like at least he was kind of
looked the part a
playing
little
the
bit.
part, but like the other kid, just like he had your typical 80s hair
Hmm.
and like just a t-shirt and jeans. I'm like, yeah, this kid's tough, and he's supposed to be like the brains of the operation.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
I guess I remember other things too, it kind of stood out to me was when Ernest is trying to like win him over, and they're just like playing pranks on him. And like, after he gets hurt and he goes to the nurse, and they bring him like a plant in a pot, and he's like, oh, they're like, oh, smell it, it smells really good. And he's like sticking his face in it and everything. And the nurse comes in, she's like, oh my gosh, that's poison ivy.
Yeah. And then she gives her little pep speech, and she's just like, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And then that's a life-changing moment for them.
Yeah, because no one's ever done that to them in their lives.
Hmm.
Like, he's the only one that cared about you. Uh, him and this guy named Verne that he keeps talking to that we never see. But yeah, do you have anything else to add, or you want me to dive into trivia here?
Let's go to trivia.
All right. So I don't have like a crazy amount of stuff for trivia. Just like a few things, and then like I got a couple things I heard about just Jim Varney as Ernest. Um, so Jim Varney, like we didn't even talk about the scene. Himself sang the song, "Gee, I'm glad it's raining." He did that all in a single take. And then like,
Seriously?
yeah, then like reportedly, like when he finished performing the song, like everybody like on set teared up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We also forgot to mention the unofficial theme song of the movie. What was that?
Oh, that,
Um,
yeah, I got that on here.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So when Ernest suggests that they sing to the turtle to make it relax and go to sleep so it stops biting his nose, the kids sing the song Happy Together,
Hmm.
which is a 1967 hit by the Turtles. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they sing that song quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So I mentioned the fight scene between Lyle Zato and Jim Varney. Um, Lyle Zato actually broke Varney's nose
Oh my
by
gosh.
mistake during the scene. Varney said, like, when you hear the crack in the movie, that wasn't added later. That was the actual crack of his nose. So that just kind of adds to the lore of Lyle Zato being nuts. So there's a part in the movie where they have a poker game, and like they completely hustle Ernest, who's of course says he's good and he's not because he's Ernest. Ernest loses $5,100. So the mineral petrocite that the mining company was after isn't real. It
I
was
didn't
made
think
up.
it was.
I kind of figured it was. Uh, so Iron Eyes Cody, he actually played the crying Native American in the Keep America Beautiful commercial from the 1970s.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. And funny thing, he's actually not Native American at all. He's Italian.
What?
Boopy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I I am that is crazy.
I wondered because there's like one part where I looked at him and was like, I bet you he's not even Native American.
Wow. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess I can kind of see it, but I don't know. I just like went with it. Dang, that's funny.
So a little bit about Ernest. Um, he kind of got his, Jim Varney was a stand-up comedian for a long time. He started playing the character of Ernest in TV commercials, mostly for like Coca-Cola. I remember him doing yellow or mellow yellow commercials or like seeing those. He did them for Chex, cereal, and like a few other things. And then like he hosted a couple things, and like this character just kept getting like more and more popular until finally he was discovered by Disney company. Because this we didn't talk about, this is a Touchstone picture, so it's a Disney movie technically.
Hmm.
He was discovered at a NASCAR event where he actually got a bigger crowd reaction than Mickey Mouse.
What?
And they're like the people at Disney were just like completely blown away. So they went and talked to Jim Varney about it, and they actually kind of like offered him a deal right there.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
that's kind of cool. He ended up getting 4 movies out of it
Yeah.
as the Ernest character. Um, and those were the ones that we mentioned. It's Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Scared Stupid, and Ernest Goes to Jail. And I mean, this was the first one that he did, and the budget was $3.5 million, and it did $23.5 million.
Hey.
Yeah, so Ernest kind of crushed it there on his first movie. He did have a TV show before this as well. It was called
Oh.
Hey Vern, It's Ernest. Oh, it was actually after this movie. I'm sorry, after this one, before the
So,
Christmas one.
okay.
But yeah, and I mean, I remember seeing Ernest a fair amount as a kid, like not even just in movies, but just like seeing the character. I remember him doing commercials too.
I do not, but I did not have cable, so there you go.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't have cable either. I had just network TV at the time, but yeah, he was kind of all over their place there for a little while.
Hmm.
And that is pretty much all I have for trivia.
Well, I got another one for you. There was a surprise cast member in the movie that snuck in as one of the miners, and I
Oh,
am unsure of
minor, I hardly
why.
know her.
I'm unsure of why he was on this movie, but Jim Henson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you on IMDb for the cast, and then there's a rest of the cast list, and Jim Henson is an uncredited minor in the movie.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
It
so
makes you wonder why he even showed up. Like, was he just friends with John Archerry, maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I'm wondering, where it's just like, because they did. I mean, there was nothing on here that they. I mean, unless they had a part with him and the turtle, maybe setting that up.
Maybe he made like an animatronic or something or a puppet with it.
Yeah, like, because that's the only thing that I could think of that he would have a hand in, unless he does more. I'm sure he does more than puppetry, but as far as I know, that I could think of that he'd be involved in. So,
Yeah, that's really the only thing I could think of too.
but yeah,
Hmm.
so there you go. The more you know for your
Rock.
health.
Dun, 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 dun. Do you want to jump into grades now?
Sure, I'll let you go first. Or
All
wait, no,
right.
we got to do the guessing,
Yeah,
right?
we got to do the guess. Pulled from IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes like usual. What do you think those are?
IMDb, I can't imagine, it's all that great. Any of these are all that great just because, it is a cheesy kids movie. Um, I feel like the only kid, I could be wrong, but I feel like the only kids movies that get high praise are like Toy
Disney
Story.
Pixar. Yeah.
Yeah, Disney Pixar. Oh, speaking of which, by the way, I did not realize that Ernest played the voice for Slinky in the first two movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
then you know who the guy who took over that voice is, right?
no.
He's the assistant coach from The Water Boy. He was
The
also Sean Hunter's dad. Yeah. He was also Sean Hunter's dad in Boy Meets World.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like that little impersonation I did there. Um, so I can't imagine the grades are all that high, especially for a film like this. So I'm gonna go like 4.2.
It's a 5.5.
Okay. All right.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, I definitely think that's fair. Um, I for Rotten Tomatoes for the critic, let's go with the 40%.
We got for critic, it's 62.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That surprised me.
Yeah. For audience, let's go 56.
51, you're pretty close.
Ooh, okay. Wow, one of those rare situations where the audience was not as kind as the critics.
Yeah, very strange. Because I know this movie kind of has a cult following.
Yeah.
Ernest himself kind of has a cult following.
Hmm. But I'm not gonna say it. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, so I'll get to my grade here, I guess. Um, I guess, usually when we watch movies like this, we have like a close, strong, nostalgic feel for these kind of movies, like these kids' movies from the 90s and 80s. Um, and, mentioned a little bit about Ernest Scared Stupid, and I've seen that definitely more than this. And, even though with all that, I don't have that big nostalgic presence with Ernest.
Hmm.
Really, the main memories I have of him are like, I mentioned that the commercials on TV, Ernest Scared Stupid. And every time I would go to my friend Dwayne's house, it seemed like his mom would rent one of them. And it was one of the things we just kind of had on the background. We'd never really fully watch. Um, most of the times we were like messing around with toys or playing video games or something.
Playing Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Or the Star Wars toys, I think, at that time. But, at the same time, it's something that Ernest is something I do remember like from a younger age. So I guess I give it a little bit of leeway. I'll have to say, like, this movie, if you're not an Ernest fan, you're probably not going to enjoy it
Oh yeah.
because it is corny as heck.
Oh yeah.
It is stupid humor. I mean, it's made for kids, but it's like that dumb kind of slapstick comedy that if you don't even somewhat enjoy that kind of stuff, you're really not going to like this. And, there's parts that made me roll my eyes or like groan.
It's
And then
made
there's
for
other
dumb
things
kids. No, I'm just kidding.
made for idiots. That's why Caleb likes it. But, uh, and at the same time, like there was things that I like laughed at or, kind of smiled at and just things from a simpler time, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Like things that caught me off guard, like the whole Joseph Mengele comment. But when we talk about our grades, we always say that like kind of 2.5 is kind of a borderline. And
Hmm.
I had to go 2.5 on this
Okay.
because, I don't have that strong nostalgic feel with it, but at the same time, I can respect what it was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that, and I think that's fair. Um, I I probably don't need to mention this every week, but I want to grade it for what it is. Um, so comparing it, it's a kids movie. It is a specific niche in kids movies, as you were just talking about, the slapstick comedy, um, big character actor and everything. Um, so for what it is and fitting in that genre, I mean, it is cringy to an extent. I definitely know when I watched it as a kid, I did not pick up on that as much. So, I mean,
Hmm.
for what it's going for, it's effective. So I was right there with you at the 2.5. I'm going, I think I'll settle at a 3 out of 5. Cause yeah, it's right there because yeah, 2.5 is right on the border. I gave it 3 because I felt that just kind of where it fits in and what, rating it for what it is and what it's going for, I mean, it's not stellar. It's not anything amazing. But considering like the thought crossed my mind on where I was just like, well, you look at some of the stuff that kids watch on YouTube and the dumb comedy that's in that, I was just like, I feel like Ernest could have been amazing on YouTube. The
Yeah.
the if he
That's where
was
Ernest would reside these
yeah.
days.
Yeah, if he didn't do anything for his career for a while, like he could easily come back and, been one of those like Blippy and other stupid kids comedy thing that kids love and enjoy.
Yeah. You know what? One thing I would put Ernest on the same level as, and he was
Mhm.
around the same time, is Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, that he came to mind when I was watching the movie.
Yeah.
So
I remember liking Pee Wee Herman a lot when I was really young.
yeah, so I went with 3 out of 5. So a little bit more than you did, but
Oh,
yeah, nothing to get overly infatuated with or anything. I don't think
yeah, I
anybody's going to be
agree.
like. I mean, there's probably some crazy Ernest fans out there somewhere though. They're just like 5 out of 5.
Give it a 10. Oh, man. You know what? I can't believe I forgot to mention this. So we talked about what we've been watching lately. Speaking of nostalgic stuff, I watched the new Space Jam movie.
Oh yeah, you talked about that and you totally forgot to bring it up.
Yeah. So right now I've checked, I keep checking to see what the IMDb score is for it. When I was watching it, it was a 3.8, which my
Is not
gosh.
good.
Yeah, right now it is at a 4.3, so it has gone up some. And I'll give a kind of quick my thoughts on it. So I did see the
And
original
that's all
Space
the time
Jam.
that we have, folks. No, I'm just kidding.
And thanks for coming. I'll see you then or see you another time. So I did see the original Space Jam in the theater. And you and I are like the perfect age for when Space Jam came out. It's one of
Oh
those
yeah.
movies that was like there at the right time. I always liked Looney Tunes. I liked basketball. I was never a big Michael Jordan fan. I'll always say that. But I thought it was good. I thought the original one was good. And then like I watched it as an adult and I'm like, it's okay. I always liked the Looney Tunes, but Michael Jordan can't act to save his life. And then like this new one came out. And when I saw it was announced and it was going to have LeBron James in it, I'm like, this thing's not going to do well. And it might do okay because people have nostalgia for the original one, but at the same time, people are going to compare it to that. And you really can't compare the two movies, um, because because you're looking at the original one with nostalgia glasses on. It's not a great movie. It
Hmm.
could be something you enjoy, but at the end of the day, it was just there for you at the right time.
Yeah.
So you have a connection with it because you remember that being a big movie when you were a kid. So to come back and watch this, it's a sequel, I guess, because they referenced the original one a few times, kind of like jokingly.
Hmm.
One of the scenes I'll mention with that is when they go and get Lola Bunny, and she's like, "You guys want me to play a basketball game with a professional basketball player to save like the world?" She's like, "Yeah, I've done that before." It's just kind of dumb references like that. Is it really the only reference to the original one?
Okay.
Um, but to come back and watch this movie and then like tear it apart because you think it doesn't live up to the original one. This movie isn't made for you. It's made for kids.
No.
It's it's like a kid like kind of family movie. And I don't know. There's a few things where I thought were kind of stupid. LeBron is not a good actor, but neither was Jordan.
Hmm.
And I don't know. It's just kind of your typical family movie. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was horrible. I think it does deserve a better than a 4.3
Yeah.
for like all the movies that we watched that were rated higher than that and shouldn't have been.
Dude, why can I not find the rating for the original one?
Because you're an idiot. I think it's like a 6 something. Last time I checked.
Oh, there it is. 6.5.
Yeah. Um, and I think the reason why it's getting such low ratings and people are complaining about it on Twitter and stuff is because it's a hatred for LeBron James. A
Which is
lot of people
fair.
don't like LeBron. Yeah, for the most part. But you know what? Michael Jordan deserves some hate too, because he's kind of a jerk. Um, and then two is nostalgia glasses.
Hmm.
Like you're just looking back at a movie and thinking it's better than it actually is. So,
But, 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 to be
whoa, whoa,
fair,
whoa, whoa.
the Michael Jordan 1996 one had Bill Murray in it.
I was actually hoping Bill Murray was going to have a cameo, but he didn't. Neither
Oh,
did Charles Barkley, and I was disappointed.
that's terrible.
Oh, terrible. Just like our Charles Barkley impersonation's terrible.
Well,
I'll
yours
tell
is a
you
lot
what.
better than mine.
I'll tell you what's not terrible. The movie that we have in store for next week. It's one of my favorite movies, and that is RoboCop. We're going to be starting August, which is going to be all action movies. Um,
Rock.
yeah, I'm going to be. Man, I'll probably just post it right now. Probably post the promo video. I don't know why I haven't done that yet.
Don't you dare.
Mhm. But yeah, guys, keep an eye out for that. If you follow us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter or Facebook, it'll be all on there. So, um, yeah, so join us next week. We'll be talking about RoboCop. And until then, as always, be kind and rewind.
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me, and ease my mind. Imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together.